last lap and a half, certainly over that last lap, and gets herself up into the top spot. Isabel Russell from New South Wales finishes off 2:42.105 for fifth spot. Great ride there from Wilson. We move on to our next round. It'll be an all New South Wales affair, this one. Representing New South Wales, Georgia Gardner. Representing New South Wales, Anna Dubier. So Georgia Gardner from the home straight, Anna Dubier from the back straight. Getting themselves away now, the two New South Wales riders. South Australia leads the way at the top of the leaderboard, 39.34. Ava Wilson, Georgia Wilson from Queensland, 39.408. Then Liani Vanderberg, 240.389, and Alexandra Larson, 241.01. So nothing between our top four qualifiers so far. But we're only looking for four from this group. The first two will go through for the gold and silver ride-off. Third and fourth will go through for the bronze and fourth place ride-off. So everything to race for. It's just an all-out race for this one. Tactic is fastest ride you've ever done in your life to try and get through to the medal rounds. At the moment, Gardner tracking third fastest at the moment. But as we saw with Ava Wilson from South Australia, these riders still ride to a good tactic, and if they can lift over that last lap, they do so. As Ava Wilson was tracking third fastest rider for the majority of her ride, and all of a sudden lifted over that last lap and a half to go to number one. Dubier and Gardner. Dubier on the red bike. Gardner on the black bike as they come into their start-finish stations this time. Dubier going to the faster ride at the moment, still tracking in about fourth. Gardner just falling off the pace a little bit after a very fast start. Anna Dubier coming into the home straight this time. Lap and a half to go for both riders. Dubier leaves the home straight, going nicely. Georgia Gardner lifting now, has found a second win. Found a second win beautifully. Both riders starting to move. They've both gone to second and third now after being around fifth and seventh at one point in this ride. Gardner really lifting over this last lap. I tell you what, have a look at the time of Georgia Gardner as she comes into the home straight this time. 36, 37, 38, fastest time of the day. Anna Dubier just fell off the pace a little bit to fourth, but a great ride from Georgia Gardner, puts herself up into the lead, really flew home over that last 2.5 laps. So a great contest between the two riders from New South Wales. Georgia Gardner, 238.226, goes to the top of the leaderboard. Move on to our next heat now. From New South Wales, please welcome Nicole Duncan. From Victoria, please welcome Lilith Jones. Nice fast start here from Nicole Duncan. We've seen one or two riders start very quickly over the first 500 metres of these individual pursuits, so we'll see how Nicole goes. She's well and truly tracking in the fastest time at the moment. Moving nicely down the back straight. She comes into the home straight this time, and we'll see 5 laps to go, so not quite through the first kilometre just yet. Still tracking the fastest time. So Duncan into the home straight. Let's have a look at the first kilometre. This is going to be quite quick. 1:15.93 for the rider from New South Wales. She started out fast and gone on with it over the next couple of laps in that first kilometre. So still moving very powerfully, very smoothly down the back straight. The Victorian Lilith Jones through the home straight this time. But Nicole Duncan is really making this track her own at the moment, because Lilith Jones has gone from 12th up to 4th. So Lilith Jones is doing a great ride. But Nicole Duncan is setting the track alight at the moment. Here she goes once again, tracking in the first place spot. No surprise there, the way she started. Lilith Jones just been asked for a little bit more from the coach as they head down the back straight. Nicole Duncan may just be falling off that first place time at the moment. It was a very, very fast time over that first part of the journey. Still there though, still fastest time so far. How can she finish off here? Lilith Jones is really moving as well, but Nicole Duncan, here she comes. Get ready for a time of the day here, ladies and gentlemen. Nicole Duncan stops the clock, 2:28.882. And get ready for the second fastest time of the day from Lilith Jones, 2:37.452. Well, there you go. Lilith Jones looked out of it, but that's the second fastest time of the day. Nicole Duncan, 2:28.882. What a ride. Well, the top 2 times, we've just seen them. It moves us on to the final heat of our Junior Women's 17s individual pursuit qualifying. Please welcome in the home straight from the ACT, this is Lauren Bates. And in the back straight, representing Queensland, please welcome Eliza Carnes. Take it that's another Carnes. Copy.
Just to let you know that time written by Nicole Duncan in the previous heat is a new national record.
Thanks, mate. So we're away for the final heat in the individual pursuit qualifying. And I've just had confirmation that Nicole Duncan of New South Wales, 2:28.882 is a new national record. Well done to Nicole Duncan. Eliza Carnes, Lauren Bates, the final two riders out on track. They've just seen the national record broken. Final heat of the day. Tracking 2 and 3 at the moment. So our fastest qualifying riders usually go in the last heat. Their times are judged on what they've done at state championships. So expect to see some very fast riding from these two. Eliza Carnes puts herself into the first spot on the track at the moment. So she's tracking quicker than a national record just for the moment, Eliza Carnes. Lauren Bates of the ACT, Eliza Carnes, they go back to their home straights for themselves. 1:14.838, 1:16 for Lauren Bates. But Eliza Carnes, who's just seen the national record broken, is tracking quicker than that national record just at the moment. Down the back straight for the Queenslander. Goes across the line, still in that number one spot. Lauren Bates in third. Both of these rides worthy of medals at the moment. Carnes is going to see 2 to go when she gets into the back straight this time. We looked at the scoreboard to see what the scoreboard has to say. The coach asking for everything. Still a number one against her name at this stage for Eliza Carnes. Lauren Bates still in third. Great rides from both of these riders, and Lauren Bates is starting to lift, visibly lift here, the ACT rider. 1 lap to go. Carnes starting to rock and roll. It's getting hard. Bates is coming back here. 2 and 3 all of a sudden. Carnes has blown up a little bit over that last part, but Lauren Bates is lifting down the back straight. She goes into first place between these two. Lauren Bates, how close can she get to the new national record? It's 2:28. Lauren Bates comes up to the line, stops the clock. 2:28.775. Just inside the new national record. Carnes goes across in 2:31.026. Lauren Bates has just broken the national record that was set 2.5 minutes ago. So our pursuing out the way just for now. And we get back to our bunch races now. You see Lauren Bates, Nicole Duncan at the top of the leaderboard there on our scoreboard here at the Meares Velodrome. That's going to be a great final. 0.77 and 0.88. Then Eliza Carnes 2:31, Lilith Jones 2:37. Get ready for a great gold and silver medal ride-off later today. The next event, back into the bunch racing. We'll go to race number 2 of a junior men's 17s tempo race. The second event in the Omnium. Will Holmes was the winner of the first event, the scratch race from South Australia. So we're away. Junior men's 17s Omnium Tempo race. Nothing too much to happen for the first few laps in this one. No points on offer. And then once they get underway, it's a point every lap. If a lap goes, it's 20 points. So we'll see what happens here in the junior men's. This one's one of those races that can just creep up on the riders. One of those races where you'll get riders who really chase the points, and then all of a sudden you'll have 2 or 3 riders, 4 or 5 points in the race, really making some great ground, and then 1 or 2 clever riders who tend to just sort of sit back and think, as long as I'm in that top 4 or 5 places in this one, I can win the bunch kick and get myself up on the points on the countback. Tasmania leads the way through. 18 laps to go. No whistle as yet for the sprint. You can see they're all lined out as they go around the Meares Velodrome. Pace well and truly up here. Will Holmes is the leader of the Omnium at the moment from South Australia after winning the first scratch race. Kai Galtman finished in second place. Then it was Alex Eves. We'll have a look over the shoulder. Into the home straight this time. First bell. So there'll be a point on offer next time round. New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia. 1 or 2 riders finding that first few laps a little bit too quick. 1 or 2 gaps opening up. Clever bike riding here from the 2 Queenslanders and the New South Welshman. Kai Galtman takes the 1 point. That fast start, all the riders just making sure that they don't blow the legs up too early. Into the home straight this time. Up round the outside. Alex Hughes, I think it is. The Queenslander takes the point. That was a good piece of riding. Went all the way down the back straight. Didn't look like he was going to do anything and then just popped out. He's going to pop out again this time. 2 more. 2 points now for Alex Hughes. Goes on to 2 points. Might as well keep going with it and then try and catch his breath. Decides to swing up. Thought the South Australia train was coming a little bit too quick. 1, 2, 3 South Australia, then Western Australia as they come into the home straight. This time, rider 63 is Will Holmes. So he gets himself a point as well. So Hughes leads the way on 2. Then Galtman. Then Holmes. He's going to stay there this time. Good piece of riding here from the South Australian team. Making sure their man is getting maximum points here. This is a hard bike race. There's a few bike riders who have lost contact here. A number of riders not scoring points yet. And like I said, 1 or 2, 3 riders, they can keep scoring points. And you just got to be paying attention to that final sprint of the day. Will Holmes takes another one, goes on to 3. Now Sam Washington from WA moves himself to the front. Will Holmes, after leading for 3 laps, quite happy for the rest. Washington having a look under the wheel. Going to have to watch out though as they go to the line. That's close. Possibly Washington on the inside. They'll look at the photo finish there. Still no answer just yet from the judges as we look at the next sprint. Tasmania back to the front. No doubt about that one. Alex Eves takes the point. Go to the overall. Alex Eves on 1. Still looking at that photo finish between Washington and Eves. That one hasn't come up yet. And it was Alex Eves. So Alex Eves gets 2 points and now a 3rd. So Washington missed out on that point. Lockie Oliver now is the rider who goes through. Let's count the numbers. Count the numbers. Tasmania. 1, 2, 3 riders getting amongst it now. Jonas Shelverton now. This is great riding here from the Tasmanians. Getting themselves forward. It was also superb riding from Will Holmes, defending first place. Tassie again on the front. WA in second. Will Holmes, can he get there? I think he might have been a little bit late. It looked fast after the line. I think Tassie might have got another one, but have a look at the power of Will Holmes here. He is showing himself to be the under-17 man to beat at this championships already here today. As he goes, Will Holmes gets another one. Sam Washington in no man's land has to make a decision to go across. He's got to try and get across. He doesn't want to get caught by a bunch finish here. You're going to come up to get 3 laps to go. Will Holmes is just ticking the points off. Can Sam Washington get across to him to get some points? We go back to the chasing group. Well, it's all South Australia, so I can't imagine it's going to be that much of a chase at the moment with their strong man in the front, but South Australia are definitely picking up the pace because they can see the damage that's being done to the rest of the field. There are riders spread all around the track. Can Sam Washington get a point? Will Holmes says, no, you can't. Sam Washington's going to have to try and save the legs here, the West Australian, and get amongst this sprint finish. He's made a very big effort there. Will Holmes leads the way on 7 points. His teammate's going to come round and take the points this time with 1 lap to go. Placings across the last lap are all important here. South Australia lead the way as Van Niekerk takes that last point. Now the sprint finished. Queensland and New South Wales as they come into the home straight this time. Up round the outside. Cadell Lovett, I think it is, on the outside. Indeed. Sorry, Kai Galtman. My apologies, Kai Galtman taking that one on the line from New South Wales. Apologies to Kai and the family. But Kai Galtman gets himself the final sprint of that one. Will Holmes, though, clear winner, 7 points. 2 then for Hughes. What a great piece of riding. You can see 1 or 2 riders, they lost 10 points each time they went down a lap in that one. So Will Holmes on 7. Then Alex Hughes, Alex Eves, Kai Galtman, Lockie Oliver, John Shelverton as we go down the list. Then it all comes down to who finished where across the line. Neil Van Niekerk gets himself up there as well. Then Cadell Lovett. So a great tempo race, as always with the Omnium. One of those races that when it got brought into the Omnium, nobody really knew how it was going to go, but I have to say it is one of the most exciting races. Almost as exciting as the elimination, the way they have to pay attention and see where they are on the track all the time to make sure, and they're in that top 5 or 6 spots. Anything further out of that, and you can really start to throw away your championship. There's so much work to do. However, there's still an elimination to come and a very big points race at the end of the Omnium. Plenty of opportunities here for our riders today. So a change of pace now, quite literally, as we move on to our junior men 15s quarterfinals. Of course, quarterfinals, this is a best of 3 between these riders. And the winner of the quarterfinal goes through to the semis, but best of 3 ride-off. We welcome heat number 1 out onto the track, and it's Hunter Wood from South Australia going up against Chase Haddon. Chase Haddon from Victoria, of course. Best of 3. So if you can get it done in 2, that's what you want to do, especially if you are the faster qualifier of these riders. Hunter Wood leads the way. Keeping a good eye on Chase Haddon at the moment. They'll come up to get 1 lap to go this time. Hunter Wood leads the way. Keeping an eye on where Chase Haddon is. Wood leads out now. Haddon in the slipstream. They head down the back straight. Doing a good job here, Hunter Wood, leading out nicely. Keeping his opponent in his slipstream, not letting him, allowing him to come out of it. Too strong to the line, so Hunter Wood will go one right up. We move on to our next race, Junior Men's Sprint Quarterfinal. This is race 1 between the Victorian Oliver Girovic and New South Wales Ben Coates. Oliver leads the way. Ben Coates jammed up on the back wheel there. Sprint racing, usually try and give yourself a minimum of bike length to so that you're not totally jammed up, so you've got room to move if the rider in front of you decides to go either way on the track. The Victorian leads the way here. Not too bothered at the moment, just keeping an eye on his opponent. The Victorian just at the top of the track, having a look for Ben Coates. He'll be wary of the tactic that could come very shortly as they head down the back straight. And that's the one to look for. You don't want to call it as a commentator. You have to wait for it to happen. Ben Coates with the element of surprise there. And that's what it was all about, trying to put himself into first place. Down the back straight though. Coates leads from Girovic. Coates gets him up on the hip. Can he hold him off? This is a good piece of riding. Down to the line, Coates will take out that one. That was a good tactic from Ben Coates. 12.42 the time. But Ben Coates made sure he had a tactic to employ, and he employed it very nicely indeed. We move on to our next race, the first ride between Angus Withington of the ACT and Sydney Wang of New South Wales. The quarterfinal racing always very tight between our riders. So the ACT rider leads the way. Not too much between these two on the stopwatch, so interesting to see how they go tactically. They'll know each other pretty well, coming from the ACT in New South Wales. They'll race week in, week out with each other. Now they appear on the Queensland track. Withington leading. Sydney Wang still staying in sight of the ACT rider. Just laying off a little bit. Withington's able to keep an eye on him. Adjusted the helmet. Let's see what. And another tactic. The same tactic again from New South Wales. Sydney Wang employing the same tactic as his teammate then. Moving nicely through the 200. Here comes Withington down the back straight. Who's got the pace? Sydney Wang leads. Withington goes to him on the bend. Can he get round him on the bend? Up the home straight this time. New South Wales and the ACT. New South Wales again with the right tactic. Sydney Wang takes the first ride. We welcome our fourth heat of our junior men's quarterfinals. This is race number 1 between the South Australian Will Brown and Queensland's Sam Hilditch. Brown leads away. Led away quite quickly. Didn't want to give up that front spot off the line. Made sure of it. Hilditch now. Close on the wheel, just like we saw from our 2 New South Wales riders earlier. Might be taking advantage of seeing some tactics employed on this track so far. As they go through with 2 to go. South Australia versus Queensland here at the AusCycling National Track Cycling Championships for 2022. Well, for these guys, it's the now, but this is the future of our sport out on track at the moment. Brown at the bottom of the track. Hilditch with the height advantage at the moment to get the gear going. They'll come into the home straight this time. Brown and Hilditch. Now they get underway. Hilditch straight round the outside there as they go towards the 200. Didn't seem too bothered whatsoever. Hilditch down the back straight. Still going to have to work all the way through to the finish line here. Brown's not going to be able to get him from there. And Hilditch is going to go 1 ride up in the best of 3. We now move on to our junior men's 17 quarterfinals. This is race 1. From New South Wales, we have Noah Mason. And from South Australia, we have Kai Arbery. Now, Noah Mason was not far off breaking the 11-second barrier as an under 17. 11.02 roughly is what he went through in. So the future looks bright for Australian sprinting, and judging by what we saw in the 17s pursuits and for women, and also the 15s, the future looks bright. There's no two ways about it. We've seen some great times here today from our junior riders. So Kai Arbery leads the way. Noah Mason now moves to the front. I was about to say he doesn't seem too bothered about being in second wheel, but now he's going to take control of affairs. So one thing about being the fastest qualifier, take full advantage of the fact that you're the fastest out there and take your riders on. Noah Mason's doing a good job of it here. Has a bit too long of a look over the shoulder, down the back straight, but he's got the pace and he'll come up to the line and take out race number 1. Noah Mason making that one a formality, but Kai Arbery going with him. 11.31 that one. That's some great pace from our under 17s. We welcome our next heat out onto the track. From the ACT, please welcome Ed Marks, and from South Australia, we welcome Jameson Key. Ed Marks leads away. Big program events here today, of course. We're into the sprint quarterfinals of our 17 men. Once we've gone through the quarterfinals here, we'll move on to the junior women's team sprint qualifying. And then we'll come back to the junior men's sprint, 15s and 17s. So we've got the team sprint still to come. Also got the finals of the team's pursuit in this first session of racing here today. And of course, we've got full evening session as well. Jameson Key taking advantage there. Gets himself into first position. Doesn't back into his opponent though. Goes on with it a bit. Jameson Key leads the way with 1 lap to go. Edward Marks with the work to do. They come into the 200. Good ride by Jameson Key, but have a look at the pace of the boy from the ACT here as they go into the final bend. Key leads the way, but Marks seems to have his measure. Nice piece of riding from both riders there, but Ed Marks 11.86 as they go across the line. Takes race number 1. We welcome our next heat onto the line. This is Bailey McDonald from the ACT and Tate Ryan from South Australia. So McDonald leads the way in front of the South Australian. Big day of racing for our riders here today. Very warm out there in the track centre. So there's a lot of work to do for these riders, warming up, warming down. A lot of riders doing several events here today in the junior ranks. There's McDonald just playing around a little bit, seeing if Ryan wanted to come forward, take over the front spot. Ryan had none of it. Quite happy where he is, he says. Just follow for now. Go through with 2 laps to go. Good piece of riding there from both riders. McDonald tried it on, but Ryan is equal to the task. Now they go down the back straight and it changes up a little bit. Ryan's got no problem with leading now. He just wanted to dictate terms and decide when he was going to do it. Ryan having a look. McDonald thinking about it. Ryan gets underway. 1 lap to go now. South Australia versus the ACT. Tate Ryan kicks away from Bailey McDonald down the back straight. McDonald trying to get hard after him, but he's not going to be able to get to him. Tate Ryan too quick this time. McDonald will have to try a different one in the next one. We move on to heat number 4. This is Xavier Bland from New South Wales and Jack Edwards from Victoria. Race 1 in their quarterfinal clash. Xavier Bland leads the way down the back straight. Jack Edwards being attentive, both riders bottom of the track. What a big day of racing these riders have got. Junior men 17s. Well, if they're only enduros, they're doing the Teams Pursuit and the Omnium today. But if they're trying to back up in other events, the sprint as well. Huge program of racing. But it also allows our younger riders to determine what they want to be very early in their cycling careers as well. It allows the sprinters just to concentrate on that as the riders. Good tactics being employed here from both Bland and Edwards. Bland just trying to keep Edwards up the track, doing a good job of it. As Jack Edwards trying to push through, thought about doing it. Now Bland gets underway. 1 lap to go as Xavier Bland leads the way in front of Jack Edwards as they head down the back straight. It was a good tactic by Bland to try and hold the Victorian up where he could. They go into the bend. Bland's got him on the hip. Edwards can't get there. They hit the home straight. Edwards just can't get there. Bland will go through for ride number 1, 11.53 the time. Good piece of riding here from Xavier Bland of New South Wales. So we're going to move on to a different change of pace now, and soon we'll see our junior women. The junior women's 17s and the team sprint qualifying. We'll just get our commissaires. We'll have everything in place just shortly. We've got 2 heats. We'll have Victoria versus South Australia, then New South Wales versus Queensland. The fastest 2 will go to the gold medal ride-off, and the 3rd and 4th times will go and ride for the bronze medal ride-off. We'll be back with you shortly. So we welcome into the home straight the team of Victoria, Masters, Jack and Hall. And in the back straight, we welcome South Australia, Vanderberg, Stanton and Gray. Victoria, Amy Masters, Hayley Jack, Lucy Hall. South Australia, Regan Stanton, Anna Gray and Liani Vanderberg. Just a stop on the countdown clock there. One of the riders wasn't quite ready. Now it looks to be all good to go. Away now, 3 laps of the track. Victoria versus South Australia. Pure and simply looking for the fastest possible time they can do to get themselves into the gold medal ride-off. 1 lap of the track for each rider. And that lead rider will swing up out of the way, hand over to the second rider and then the third. Down the back straight, almost an overlap of wheels there for the South Australians. Still having a little bit of trouble getting their third rider on, but they're moving nicely, as are Victoria, who lead ever so slightly there. By the naked eye into the home straight. Victoria ever so slightly in front of South Australia, but there's not too much in it, is it? Victoria ever so slightly in front. South Australia need to come home with a real rainstorm here. Victoria still lead the way. South Australia trying to come at them. Victoria and South Australia. Victoria into the home straight. They'll come down. They'll stop the clock first. Victoria 54.672. 55.064 for South Australia. We move on to heat number 2 for our junior women's 17 team sprint qualifying. In the home straight, please welcome from New South Wales, Maya Dillon, Lilia Tataranoff and Ebony Robinson. And in the back straight, please welcome Queensland, Madison Smith, Ella Liang and Amelie Sanders. Away now, New South Wales off to a very, very quick start here. Into the back straight, New South Wales moving nicely. Queensland getting up to speed now. New South Wales, though, they're flying in this ride-off. Fastest start so far. Queensland, though, going nicely. New South Wales into the back straight. These teams have to get underneath 55.06 to make their way into the final. 54.672 is the fastest time so far. New South Wales, a confident lead over the top of Queensland. Where are they going to stop the clock? Which ride-off are they going to go into? New South Wales coming into the home straight. New South Wales are going to go into the gold medal ride-off, 51.965, and Queensland 55.551. New South Wales will meet Victoria in the final. Queensland will meet South Australia. So we're back to our junior men's 15 sprint quarterfinals. This is race 2, Hunter Wood versus Chase Haddon. Hunter Wood, he's one race up, best of 3. Hunter Wood leads the way, keeping a good eye on his opponent, Chase Haddon. Go straight through here and have a nice break. Big day of racing for Hunter. What can Chase do about it? This is the quarterfinals. This is when it all gets that little bit closer for these riders. Hunter Wood going to make it a long one this time. He's one ride up already. The tactic is to go early. How's he going to get challenged down the back straight? Hunter Wood leads from Chase Haddon. Chase Haddon trying to go at him. Hunter Wood has a look over the shoulder and sees him there. He was able to get up on the hit. He wasn't able to get round it though. Hunter Wood's going to go through 2 straight rides into the semi-finals for the South Australian. We move on to heat number 2, race number 2 between Oliver Jerovic, Victoria and Ben Coates, New South Wales. Ben Coates crossed the line first in race number 1, but the decision of the commissaires was a relegation due to not holding their line through the final 200 metres. So the New South Welshman took the first race out, been relegated. So Oliver Jerovic from Victoria, he's one race up all of a sudden in this one. So what can Ben Coates do here? Can he repeat his sprinting performance in the first one? Speed was fine. Can he get to the front? Can he win it again? And this time hold his line just that little bit more. Here he goes again. This is the tactic that Ben Coates employed in the first one. He's got to have the speed, he's got to have the strength, but he's got to stay inside that metre line as they go through with 200 to go. It's a bit different this time for Oliver Jerovic. Jerovic coming at him as they go through the bend. The Victorian and the New South Welshman. Everything's okay for now. Coates and Jerovic, they go to the line. Oh, I tell you what. Possibly Ben Coates on the inside, but we'll have to leave that one to the photo finish. Great piece of bike handling by both riders, both inside the metre line at one point in that one. Ben Coates and Oliver Jerovic. We'll wait to see what we see on our scoreboard. We'll come back to you with that result because we move on to our next ride. This is race number 2 between Sydney Wang from New South Wales and Angus Withington from the ACT. Sydney Wang taking the first one. So he's one ride up for the moment. And what can Angus do to try and get a ride back off him and force this to a best of 3. That pointer to Neil Hamey. Do you have a result from the previous ride, please? Sydney Wang. Sydney Wang leads the way, but Angus Withington at the bottom of the track. So Wang not too bothered from that position at the moment. Had the height advantage if he wanted to take advantage of that. They come up to get 2 laps to go. Sydney Wang quite happy to be the rider in second place for the moment. Element of surprise has worked for him already. So let's see if it can work twice, is what he's thinking. Angus Withington got jumped in the first one. Tactic will change for this one, you would hope. They come into the home straight this time, and once again, Sydney Wang takes advantage of the fact Withington looked the other way, but Withington is a lot closer this time. They go into the 200, into the back straight. Wang leads the way. Withington trying to go with him now. There's a lot of work to do from there for Withington. Into the home straight. Sydney Wang is going to hang on from here. This is a good ride, good strong ride from the man from New South Wales. We move on to heat number 4, race number 2 of our junior men's 15 sprints from Queensland. Welcome back onto the track. 1 ride up in this decider. Sam Hilditch from Queensland, and from South Australia we have Will Brown. Hilditch quite happy just to try a couple of little tactics here against Brown. Remember, this is the quarterfinal. They're still going to come out for semis and finals, these riders, should they get there. So always going to try something a little bit different. If you think if they've got the confidence and got the form, they'll just familiarise themselves with the track. Try something against an opponent who possibly isn't quite as quick, just to see how that tactic goes, and then decide whether you employ that tactic later. Good bike handling here from both riders here. Unusual to see in a junior competition, this type of tactic, but this is national champs. This is not Saturday afternoon at the club race, so the boys are going to really take each other on. Good riding from Hilditch. Good riding from Brown as well to not be forced through. He didn't want to go through just then. He may change his mind down the back straight as they get a lap and a half to go. Hilditch out of the saddle now. Was quite happy to play the game with Brown, but now he's in the front spot. Now he's going to dictate terms. They come up, 1 lap to go. Good piece of riding here. Oh, something for the commissaires to have a look at possibly. Did Brown have his front wheel in there? He seems to think so, and he's pushing through nicely. Brown on the inside. Hilditch having to go twice as far here. Hilditch thought he was a little bit maybe off. Brown fighting back. Hilditch, what a great ride from both riders. Great contest between those two riders. Brown figured he had the spot on the inside and he fought on. Hilditch said, I'd better think twice about it, and gave him space. But Hilditch, strong on the outside, takes that ride. We move on to our new junior men's 17 sprint quarterfinals. Heat number 2, race number 2. This is Noah Mason, one ride up against Kai Arbery. So New South Wales, one ride up over South Australia. Noah Mason keeping the pace up. Wants to take care of this ride, then be able to put the feet up for the semi-finals. Fastest qualifier here. Impressed with the way he's ridden here. Sometimes the top seed can just take it easy in their rides. Noah's not that way by the looks of it. Quite happy to go up to his pace and make his opponent work for it. Noah Mason leads the way. Kai Arbery in the slipstream. Mason has a look underneath the saddle there, down the back straight. Showing a lot of confidence here. Into the home straight, good controlled ride. Noah Mason will go through 2 straight into the semi-finals. Race number 2 now between Ed Marks, the ACT, and Jameson Key from South Australia. Ed Marks one ride up. Just an update on the 15s ride between Jerovic and Coates. Jerovic takes out ride number 2, so no need for a deciding ride there. Of course, you can see all of the results live on results.auscycling.org.au. That's where you'll be able to backtrack and go and have a look at all of the results from each of the Omnium events, each of the time trials, pursuits, and so forth. They'll be updated live as confirmed by the commissaires. So far, all of our quarterfinals going through 2 straight. Let's see what happens in the next couple of races. Ed Marks leads through now. This is the last lap. Number 1 was on the lap board. Bit of a late bell up round the outside. Jameson Key Takes full advantage there, comes into the home straight. Jamison Key's going to take that one. So Jamison Key takes that one. These riders go one ride apiece. As our next race comes out onto the track, this is Tate Ryan and Bailey McDonald. Just an update on Heat 3 Junior Men's 15 Sprint Quarterfinal between Will Brown and Sam Hilditch. The ride has been awarded to Will Brown. Sam Hilditch relegated for that one, so there will be a third ride between the Queenslander and the South Australian. We'll move on to the ride between Tate Ryan now and Bailey McDonald. Tate Ryan, one ride up here. So, sprint racing. It's exciting here today. 1 and 2 riders relegated. Just for small infringements of holding their line. Nothing that you don't normally see in sprint racing. But the commissaires, we've got a very good group of commissaires here with international experience. World Championship commissaires, Tour Down Under commissaires, World Cup commissaires, and they are absolutely on their game here at the Meares Velodrome today, keeping a good eye on everything that's going on. And coming to the home straight this time, Ryan leads McDonald. Ryan is one up, wants to get his way into the semi-finals. McDonald's on the wheel this time, in the slipstream. Can he get out of it? That's the secret, though. Ryan leading very strongly from the front, and McDonald gives it away and says, no thanks. I've got a few more days racing to go, and I can't get over you today. So Tate Ryan goes through, finds his way into the semi-finals. We move on to heat number 4, race number 2 of a Junior Men's 17 Sprint Quarterfinals. We'll welcome back to the track from Victoria, Jack Edwards, and from New South Wales, and also one ride up in this contest, Xavier Bland. A lot of shouting from the crowd there down the back straight. Xavier Bland just trying to mix it up against Jack Edwards here. Xavier Bland's one ride up and he decided to make it a very long sprint. They go down the back straight now. Jack Edwards, oh, they come together down the back straight. So both riders came together as they headed down the back straight that time. Xavier Bland coming down. Big round of applause for Xavier there, ladies and gentlemen. Has not messed about. Straight back onto his feet. Made of tough stuff, the man from New South Wales. Both riders also giving each other a thumbs up as well to say there was no harm done. So great to see the sportsmanship between the two riders. There'll be a conversation to laugh about later, depending on who wins. So for those of you joining us on the live feed here today, just a little bit of a break in the program as we just get our sprinters back to where they need to be, and we start to roll into the next part of the program, which will be teams pursuing finals. So I hope you're enjoying the live coverage here of the Junior National Championships. Very rare to be able to get the Junior National Championships televised, so very big well done to the local Queensland crew for being able to do this. Over the next 6 days, you'll see a great deal of racing. Over the weekend, we'll have Scott McGorry and Kate Bates calling the action for the big stuff on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday we're on. We've got the Paras as well, so heaps of racing to come. But the junior racing, you'll be able to see here each day in the morning sessions and the evening sessions. So lots to look forward to. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a heads up, packed program that we have here for our junior men's 17s. Our rider that just touched down is also riding in the bronze medal ride-off, or should I say, he's still also riding in the medal ride-offs for the teams pursuit, which is the next event's on. So just giving our riders a chance to pick themselves up literally off the ground and get themselves right for the next event. And he's got a team's pursuit championship to race and also another ride in a sprint to race in the quarterfinals. So bear with us. If you're joining us here at the Velodrome, this is your chance to go and get yourself a cool drink. I know it's warm out there. I know it's humid. And if you're at home or anywhere around the world, because I know a number of people have joined us internationally here today and we welcome you, this is your chance to go and get yourself a refreshment. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome back onto the track Xavier Bland and Jack Edwards. It's going to roll around and then come back and line up again. They just need to be in a different position on the track this time. You can see Xavier's not got much left of the right-hand side of his skin suit there, but there's a clear thumbs up from both riders. Nobody blaming each other about things. Is that a national record for the junior women's Olympic sprint?
Team sprint? Yes, it was.
My mistake, team sprint, yes. So as we get ready to roll away with Xavier and Jack again. Just an update on a previous race that we had, just been confirmed. Junior Women's 17 Team Sprint qualifying, New South Wales. Maya Dillon, Lilia Tataranoff and Ebony Robinson. They rode 51.965 and it is a new national record, ladies and gentlemen, just been confirmed. We'll get back to our sprinting now, but well done to New South Wales. We'll see them in the final shortly. Xavier Bland, he's one ride up against Jack Edwards. This is a restart from their previous ride. No blame from either rider, according to the commissaires, and there was no blame. It was just a riding incident. Xavier and Jack this time. They started off by having an eventful race number 2, these two. Here we go again. Jack Edwards getting to the start. Getting underway. You can see all the holes in the right-hand side of Xavier's skin suit as they head down the back straight. And once again, these guys are going to take each other on for the entire race. Have a look at this. Edwards comes up just a little bit. Edwards just stepped out of the line. One for the commissaires to possibly have a look at it. Stop the run of Bland. Bland trying again into the home straight. Edwards leads all the way to the line and goes across in first place. Xavier Bland in second. So showing one ride apiece for now, but I'm sure the commissaires might have a look at that one. Big round of applause. The entertainment is fantastic from these two riders. So ladies and gentlemen, the previous ride that we've just seen, rider number 94, Jack Edwards, is relegated for not holding his line, which means Xavier Bland goes through to the semi-finals, 2 rides, straight through to the semi-finals. So ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our next event, and this is the bronze medal final, the Junior Men's 17s Teens Pursuit. Please welcome in the back straight, representing New South Wales, Xavier Bland, Kai Galtman, Cadell Lovett and Jacob Steep. In the home straight, please welcome, representing Victoria, Eddie Jerovic, Lawson Fransman, Hamish Clarkson and Thomas Butler. Away now, 12 laps of the track face these two young teams. Bronze medal at the end of it for one of them. Nothing between them through the first part. New South Wales just with the edge with the faster start. Neither team's going to be worried about time in this one. They're just pure and simply worried about beating the team in the other straight. Victoria and New South Wales, they go through again. 0.69 to the favour of New South Wales for now. Both teams looking quite comfortable. They're settled in. A lot of work goes into putting these teams together. New South Wales just edging away out to 0.92 now over the top of Victoria. Victoria, the faster qualifier, starting in the home straight in the final. Expect them to come home over the last kilometre here. New South Wales still leading 1:11.3, 0.55 now the difference. Victoria bringing it back now. New South Wales and Victoria. Victoria trying to get themselves the edge here. They seem to be starting to go into the first place position now, Victoria, and they are 0.11 up on New South Wales. All four riders still together in both teams. Victoria just starting to edge ahead. Faster qualifiers than the New South Wales team. They lead the way now. 0.26 of a second, the time taken on the third rider across the line. Victoria show the way in front of New South Wales, but New South Wales haven't gone away just yet. Fighting back now, New South Wales. Victoria into the home straight. We have a look at the difference this time. Nothing between it. They are dead level now. Nothing between the two teams. 4.5 laps to go for both teams. New South Wales fighting back. Xavier Bland, who's just been on the floor, and he's into the semi-finals of the sprint, swings up. New South Wales down to 3. Victoria lead, 0.42 of a second. The fourth rider difference could really come into effect now. There's a good fight back from New South Wales, but Victoria have still got 4 riders as they head through now. They start to extend the lead. Half a second the difference now. Victoria, 4 riders as opposed to 3 as they go through. 2.5 laps to run. Victoria lead the way in front of New South Wales. They'll come into the home straight this time. Victoria lead. Looking comfortable in comparison. 0.65. New South Wales haven't had the floor wiped with them. They're going beautifully, but Victoria have just got that edge. They'll come into the home straight this time. 1 lap to go for Victoria. It's out to around about a second now. Victoria lead the way. They just have to hang on in this last lap. New South Wales still fighting back, but Victoria bring themselves into the home straight. They fan out. The bronze medal for Victoria. Put your hands together for Victoria. They take the bronze medal in a 3:23.522, 1.8 seconds in front of New South Wales into 4th place. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the first gold medal final of these championships. Please welcome in the back straight, representing Tasmania, Nicholas Broxham, Alex Eves, Lockie Oliver, and Dylan Rogers. In the home straight, representing Queensland, please welcome Luke Rickett, Ethan Lang, Alex Hughes and James Matthews. This is the gold medal final of the junior men's 17 teams pursuit. Away now and plenty of home crowd support for the Queensland team starting in the home straight as fast as qualifiers. Big program of racing for our Queensland and our Tasmanian Enduros here in the under-17s. All taking part in the Omnium as well. Both teams very sharp out of the blocks. Tasmania with the edge at the moment though. Just coming out of the start line that little bit quicker as they head down the back straight. Tasmania lead the way. 0.87 difference here from Tasmania. They're taking the race up to the Queensland team straight away. Which team can come together the best on the day? That's what it's going to be all about here. Just out to over a second difference now between Queensland and Tasmania. It's a great fast start here from the team from Tassie. They go into the back straight through the first kilometre. They still lead. 1.32 the difference. It's the next couple of laps that's going to make the difference though. This is where teams really start to settle in. This is where we find out if the start was too quick. Tasmania into the back straight. They're going down to 3 riders. They still lead 1.14. But they're going to be stuck with 3 riders, Tasmania. They've lost one. Queensland still got the 4 riders, but their lead rider that time starting to just ride away from his team. So Queensland have to pay attention to what they're doing as well here. 1.53 seconds the difference. Tasmania still lead the way, but it's 3 versus 4, and they've still got just over 5 laps to go here. Can Tasmania hang on? Queensland still chasing. 1.73. Tasmania riding beautifully. Only 3 riders. They go through now, still with the lead. They head towards the back straight. They're going to see 4 laps to go. 1,000 metres of the track. Tasmania lead the way, but here comes Queensland as they start to shorten the gap here. Queensland now are down to 3 riders. 3 versus 3 over the last 3.5 laps of this journey. Tasmania still lead the way. A second the difference. Queensland are lifting. They go across the lines. It's 1.25. Tasmania are hanging on. It's not getting close. Tasmania are hanging on. Queensland are lifting the best way they possibly can as they'll go back to their start-finish points here. Tasmania lead. They've still got the lead. It's come down to 1.18. It's gone from 1.20 to 1.18. Tasmania are hanging on here. The fast start has paid dividends for them. 1.5 laps to go. Queensland, you've got to bring your team home. Let's hear from the crowd in the home straight. Tasmania, they've got 1 rider just starting to become adrift. It's inside 1 second now. Can they hang on, Tasmania? Queensland trying to come from the clouds. Tasmania lead the way. They're still up with 1/2 lap to go. 3 riders. It's going to come all the way down to the line. Tasmania will get there. 0.81 the difference. What a win from the team from the Apple Isle. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 more sprint rides to go here as we go to ride number 3 in junior men 15s in one of our rides, and also in the 17s. After that, we'll be having the presentation of our Teams Pursuit finals, and that will conclude this morning's session. Please welcome back onto the track the Junior Men's 15 Sprint Quarterfinal between South Australia's Will Brown and Queensland's Sam Hilditch. Both riders have 1 ride apiece. The winner of this one will go through to the semi-finals. It was a good contest between these two in race number 2, but a little bit of an infringement in the metre line, adjudged by the commissaires. Sam Hilditch has been the stronger, but there's not a lot between them. Will Brown really fought on in that previous ride. We have a look now. Top of the track, Brown leads, Hilditch, wide open track as they come into the home straight. Hilditch takes full advantage of it. All the work to do now for Will Brown as they head down the back straight. Hilditch leads. Will Brown making up some distance, but I think Hilditch will be too strong from here. It's hard to come around on the junior gears. Hilditch has a look, crosses the line, had it in hand. So Sam Hilditch will go through to the semi-finals. So 1 race to come for our first session of the AusCycling National Track Cycling Championships for 2022. Straight after this, we'll be having the presentations of our Teams Pursuit, and then we'll have a break. We'll be back for our evening session, which starts at 5:30 p.m. Ed Marks of the ACT won the first one. Jamison Key, he took the second one. Element of surprise for Jamison Key, so not too much between these two. Both riders quite happy to get through the first lap. Not too much about the tactics in the first one, just keeping an eye on each other. Jamison Key leads the way. Ed Marks laying right off him down the back straight. Still staying high on the track though. Jamison Key. Ooh, it looked like he was going to move, and he should have, because Ed Marks certainly is. It was almost as if Ed Marks was just taunting him into going, but he hasn't got all the way around yet, so he's going to have to stay on the outside of that red line down the back straight. Didn't take full advantage of it, and it's given the chance for Jamison Key to get through here. Jamison Key is going to hang on all the way up to the line. Well done. What a ride from the South Australian. Ed Marks had the right idea, just couldn't quite get far enough forward. Jamison Key showing great courage there and riding back through the gap. So Key will go through. to the semi-finals. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to presentations of the Junior Under-17 Teams Pursuit. Please welcome Chief Commissaire Tony Tor to do the presentations. In third place, winner of the bronze medal, Victoria. Represented by Annie Gerlach, Lawson Branson, Hamish Thompson, and Thomas Butler. In second place, winners of the silver medal, Queensland. Represented by Meares in the lane, Alex Hughes and James Matthews. In first place, winners of the gold medal and national champions, Tasmania. Represented by Meares Boston, Steve Lachlan Oliver, Dylan Rogers, and Janice Shelton. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for our national champions and medalists. Ladies and gentlemen,